You wake up, you reach for cereal or coffee, or maybe nothing at all because you're rushing out the door. Breakfast feels automatic. It feels ancient, but it isn't. For most of human history, breakfast did not exist. Not as a meal, not as a ritual, not even as an idea. The real answer to what your ancestors ate first thing in the morning is far stranger than a bowl of cereal. Picture a small group of early humans waking up on the savannah. The sun is barely up. There is no kitchen. There is no pantry. There is no fridge humming in the corner. What did they reach for? Nothing, usually, because there was nothing to reach for. Here is the strange part. For the vast majority of the 2 million years that our genus Homo has existed, eating was not scheduled. It was not 3 times a day. It was not even once a day, reliably. Anthropologist Richard Wrangham, who studies the evolutionary origins of human diet at Harvard, has argued that early hominins likely ate whenever food was available, which sometimes meant once every 2 or 3 days. Your body, the one you're sitting in right now, was built inside that uncertainty. It was not built for breakfast. It was built for famine. Think about that for a second. Your stomach growls around 8 in the morning not because your body needs food precisely then, but because you trained it to expect food then. The hunger you feel at breakfast time is mostly learned, not biological. Strange, right? So what did they actually eat when food did appear? The image most people carry around is of a caveman gnawing on a giant slab of meat. That image is mostly wrong. Researchers studying the diets of early Homo, including work compiled by paleoanthropologist Catherine Milton at UC Berkeley, point to something far less dramatic and far more vegetal. Roots, tubers, insects, fruit when it was in season. Meat was rare, prized, and often shared immediately rather than stored. There was no refrigeration. A killed animal had to be eaten fast, by many mouths, before it spoiled. This changes the picture entirely. Your ancestors were not steak-eating hunters who occasionally snacked on plants. They were mostly plant-processing foragers who occasionally got lucky with meat. The luck part matters. Meat was not daily. It was an event. Now here is the twist. The first meal of the day, as a structured, expected, scheduled event, is shockingly recent. Some food historians trace the modern concept of breakfast as a defined morning meal to medieval and early modern Europe, where it slowly became normalized among certain social classes only a few hundred years ago. Before that, in many cultures, eating in the morning was sometimes even viewed with suspicion. Religious traditions across history have included morning fasting. Eating immediately upon waking was, for long stretches of human civilization, not the default. It was the exception. So if breakfast is recent, what filled that gap for nearly all of human evolutionary history? Hunger did. Real hunger. Not the mild, irritable hunger you feel when you're running 15 minutes late for a meeting and skipped your usual oatmeal. Actual extended hunger, sometimes lasting through an entire morning, sometimes through an entire day. Your body has ancient machinery for handling that. It is called ketosis, the metabolic state where your body shifts from burning glucose to burning stored fat for fuel. This is not a modern diet trend. It is an ancient survival default. Researchers in evolutionary metabolism, including work referenced by biologist Lauren Cordain, have pointed out that the human body's ability to smoothly transition into fat burning during extended fasting periods looks like a feature selected for by a food-scarce environment, not a flaw. Here's where it gets even stranger. Your ancestors' brains may have worked better during these stretches of morning hunger, not worse. Mild fasting triggers a cascade of changes, including increased production of a protein called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF, which supports neuron growth and resilience. Some researchers have hypothesized this is why humans evolved sharp, focused thinking during hunger. A fed lion sleeps, but a hungry one hunts with total focus. Your ancestors needed exactly that kind of focus first thing in the morning, because mornings were often when the hardest work of finding food actually happened. So, picture it again. Dawn breaks over the grassland. There is no breakfast table. There is hunger, real hunger, and there is movement. Searching, digging, foraging. Eyes scanning for fruit, ears alert for the rustle that might mean a chance at meat. The body runs on stored fat. The mind runs sharp and alert, not groggy and bargaining for coffee. This was morning for nearly the entire span of human existence.
Now compare that to your morning today. You wake up already mildly anxious if you haven't eaten within the first hour. Skipping breakfast can feel, to many people, almost transgressive, like you're doing something wrong to your body. But your body, biologically, doesn't agree. Your body is still built for the version of morning that involved searching, not the version that involves a cereal box. So why does breakfast feel so urgent now? Cultural reinforcement, mostly. Marketing in the 20th century played an enormous role here. Cereal companies and food manufacturers in the early to mid-1900s heavily promoted breakfast as the most important meal of the day. A phrase that spread so widely it eventually felt like ancient wisdom instead of